Benvenuti. Welcome to the Jason Cox Italian, or JCI as I'll refer to it, Conversational Italian 1 online course. I want to take a few minutes to tell you about myself and what's ahead. Okay, who I am. I have almost 30 years of studying Italian. Started back in 1996. I first went to Italy before that, though, in 1994 as a 17-year-old high school student. And I went on a 3-week blitz through Europe in June and July. We went to Italy and Austria and Germany, Switzerland, France, and England with my humanities teacher from high school. We saw the things that we studied and then came back and I took APR history my senior year of high school. But I have to be honest, Italy wasn't my favorite of the countries. Excuse me. We got to Rome and I found it to be dirty. I didn't understand the language. I got scolded for being too loud in the Sistine Chapel, and I was told not to sit on certain steps in the Vatican. Um, Florence, we next went to, was better. We saw a lot of the art that we'd studied. And Venice was amazing, I have to admit. It was a city on the water, right? And then we went to Salzburg, Austria. And I had grown up watching The Sound of Music, and those verdant green hills truly were alive for me um, with The Sound of Music. And one night in Salzburg, they were actually shampooing the sidewalks and scrubbing. So that was a interesting juxtaposition to Rome. And then 2 years later, I got called to serve as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Milan, Italy. And everything changed. And part of that was, the main thing of that was learning Italian. I had a rigorous 8 to 9 week foundational course where I thought I learned a lot in 8+ hours a day at school. And then I got to Italy and I wondered what they were speaking, what they were talking, what language they were speaking, excuse me. That's a story for another time. But I fell in love with Italians. I fell in love with the language, the Italian language, the culture, the food, everything. I was truly smitten. So I came back and I decided I would major at Brigham Young University in Utah, BYU, in Italian. And everybody said, "What are you doing? That's the dumbest decision ever. Why don't you do something useful like business, or at least a language like Chinese or Spanish that you can use?" But all these years later, I've learned a lot through teaching, and I'm excited to share that with you. And that's a good segue to the next point. I'm really just a student. I've found that the best students teach in order to learn more deeply. I happen to have almost 3 decades of experience speaking Italian, and this course is my opportunity to share with a broader audience. So let's continue along that same um, vein. Why this course? I have two BHAGs. BHAG, I have one here in my lower back. No, BHAGs, although it sounds like a rash, it's actually an acronym that stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. My first one is to spend 1,000 nights in Italy, and over 13 visits to the Bel Paese, a nickname for Italy, coming up on 900 days or nights, and living there obviously for 2 years definitely pads my stats. But I still have some work to do. And my second one, several years ago, I set a goal to teach 1,000 people Italian in person. And this year marks 25 years of teaching, and I'm going to do that. I'll get through that. I've taught missionaries early on. I've taught 23 years at the University of Utah's lifelong learning program. And the last 4 years I've spent teaching morning high school classes. So as I mentioned, I'm celebrating 25 years of teaching. And to celebrate, I wanted to teach Italian and offer a course online to a broader audience. And I feel like this will give you an opportunity to enrich your travel experiences as well as your life. Italian to me is a warm, expressive, and passionate language, and I'm sure one of those descriptors is why you're here. It's musical, it's dramatic, it sounds amazing, and you definitely, definitely, definitely need to have it in your life. And I think I got this right. Doesn't this stand for "in my humble opinion"? One of the most exciting things you can learn in life is to speak another language. It does amazing things for your brain, spatially, creatively, and computationally. And what's more, for me, this is the most exciting, and this drives why I keep trying to improve my Italian and learning additional languages. It's all about connection. When you travel to Italy, for instance, and speak to them in their language, rather than showing up and expecting them to speak your language in their country, that seems kind of selfish, right? Connections occur, and opportunities you couldn't have imagined can be yours. And I'll talk about that in separate videos, but I've had numerous experiences where I've connected with people because I speak Italian in a way that I couldn't have otherwise. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about my approach. Accessible is a really important word for me. As a teacher, I'm certainly best in person. There's no question about that. But this is a very close second, and I've thoughtfully and deliberately included what you will need to achieve proficiency in conversational Italian. And with more and more people wanting to learn Italian and not being able to take in-person courses, I want to be able to offer this content that I've developed over the years and have people access that. Okay? You heard me talk a lot about working knowledge. I want students to understand how Italian works, not just the grammatical principles we cover in the course, but to learn the nuances and build on that as you experience it. Okay? The course is designed to be thorough and concise, not meant to be exhaustive. It's straightforward and thorough, and it represents what I've learned, as I said, teaching 1,000 students over the past quarter of a century, past 25 years. And last but not least, in high school, I think it was one of my dear friends said this phrase to me, skills pay bills, and I'm sure he didn't coin it. I've heard it a lot since then. But when developing and writing each lesson, I've asked the question, what do I want students to know about this topic? So they can effectively use it in everyday conversational skills. And the end product of each module is just that, a skill, something you can do that you couldn't before the short lesson. And these separate skills link together to build the foundation for your Italian. Okay, let's talk a minute about format. I mentioned this, I think, already, modules, right? I'm going to call these modules, or kind of smaller lessons, right? They're not long, probably around 10 minutes. Each lesson will be called a module. It's brief and it teaches you a skill, as I said, that will aggregate to form the foundation of your Italian. And there are 20 plus modules in this Italian 1 course. Concise is really important for me. As I focus, my focus will be to make each module digestible, right? Each one will give you a solid foundation for that particular topic. I also want to be pattern focused. With 20 plus modules, as I said, concepts and topics will definitely be something we want to look out for repeating patterns. We don't want to be in the memorization mode. We don't want to be memorizing something for every single one of those modules and topics. So patterns are key. And then student driven is really important. The beauty of an online course is that you can do as much or as little as you want, when you want, and where you want. It's all tailored to you. And last but not least, this is probably the most important point here on this slide. Begin thinking about this as my Italian. From the outset, I want you to own your learning. This is your Italian, and consistently ask yourself, what do I want my Italian to be able to do? Then put in the work to get there. Okay, let's talk for a minute about methodology. Language learning is broken into 4 essential elements or skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. 2 of these are input focused, listening and reading, where you're taking in listening and reading, right? And then 2 are output focused, speaking and writing. And while all of these skills are important, most of my students, I've noticed over the years, primarily focus on the speaking part, because that you really can't become proficient in speaking without the others. But we're going to give you a foundation in all of them, and then you'll decide from there where you want to take it. Okay, and each module, you'll see this throughout every module. Each module is broken into 3 phases. Three phases. The first is concept, where we introduce the topic of the lesson and answer the question, what is this? Application is the second phase, where we apply the concept and answer the question, how do I form this? And then the third one is practice, where we solidify what we've learned by practicing and answer the question, how do I use this? Okay, next up, just a quick conclusion. 2 final thoughts. I want to say grazie. Thank you for letting me be part of your linguistic journey. I'm excited for what's ahead, and I'm excited to be able to partner in being whatever I can do to influence and contribute to your linguistic journey. And the second one is iniziamo. Let's get started. So with that, so I'll see you in the next module. Grazie e ciao.